Look at this turnout. Give yourself a round of applause. I am impressed. Thank you. My daughter's a junior here, and she told me that you were getting kind of bored with all these days off, and that we would have a good turnout tonight. So thank you all very much for coming to our DifferenceMaker Idea Challenge kickoff event and Idea Hack. And I'm guessing you're probably wondering what that Idea Hack piece is about. We'll talk about that in just a couple of minutes. But I want to give a hand to Zach. That little video clip that was playing in the front with the music and talking about DifferenceMaker, Zach put that together. So thanks very much, Zach. Just waiting for the computer to catch up with me here. So what we're going to, first of all, we really do appreciate you all turning out. We have a mix, we have students representing all the different colleges of the university here tonight. You'll notice that on some of the tables, there are little table toppers that have names of different types of problems. These are all ideas that were put forward by students who pre-registered, and we're going to spend a little time exploring those ideas in about a half hour or so. And we also have a number of faculty that are here tonight, and we have fellows, and we have staff, and we'll have a chance to introduce all of those. I'm not going to speak a lot right now. I will speak a little bit more, but I'm really excited to have our good colleague and the Executive Vice Chancellor of the University, Jackie Maloney here. And Jackie has been a strong innovator and supporter of this effort from the beginning, and encouraged us to move forward with our DifferenceMaker activities. So I thought it would be nice if she came down and said a few words and welcomed you all here tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, Steve. And boy, is Steve right. Honestly, we were thinking, I'll be home, relaxing, shoveling. Did anybody shovel over the last couple days? No, it was pretty tough, huh? So everyone survived the storm, that's great. Going to be back to school tomorrow, I hear. But be careful, the roads still aren't perfectly plowed. But thanks for coming tonight. DifferenceMakers is such an important part of UMass Lowell. When Marty Meehan came here about 7 years ago, he committed to really transforming this university using innovation and entrepreneurship. So frankly, this is in our DNA. And that is why we started talking to our students when you started to choose UMass Lowell, and suggest to you that you consider that when you come here, you commit to making a difference in an innovative and entrepreneurial way. Because we believe at UMass Lowell, no matter where you go, what career you choose, whether you're in a nonprofit, you're a nurse, you're an educator, you're an engineer, you're a scientist, a management person, whatever they do, I'm kidding, those business people. See some of my friends here. But whatever profession you choose to go into, you're going to have to be innovative and entrepreneurial if you want to be successful, if you want to add value, and if you want to make a difference. So thank you so much for being here. Tonight is the Idea Challenge, right? This kickoff. You're going to hear from some very successful difference makers who have already taken their teams to places that we never thought were possible, national recognitions. There's one thing we like to say about UMass Lowell students, right? We're different. Our alumni are different. We're tenacious. We're driven. That's who you are. And you're going to hear from some students who are out there competing nationally. UMass Lowell students. We win. We take home the prizes. And so for you tonight, you're on the beginning of the journey, thinking about becoming a difference maker, thinking of your idea. So I'm just going to start with just a short, quick story. I have a granddaughter. When she was 4 years old, we had kind of a meltdown at the house. At the time she was, I'll admit it, prone to temper tantrums. We were going out, and she and her sister, her mom had packed 2 dresses for the day. And this, I'll get to the idea challenge in a minute. It's about that. 2 dresses. The oldest one had kind of a sweater dress. The younger one had a puffy, very pretty dress. The older one didn't think her dress was good enough to go out. We had this engagement. We had to go. Mom wasn't there. I'm like, Nora, you have to wear that dress. It's the only one I have to give you. We got to go, and you got to put the dress on. Oh, Nan, I can't wear that dress. I want to wear the pretty dress, but the pretty dress won't fit you. You have to wear this. It's the only one. You got to put it on. We got to go. Honey, you got to go. Oh, then just like out of nowhere, she looked at me and she said, I have an idea. Really? What's your idea? How about if we go to your jewelry box and I pick out a necklace to make the dress look prettier? It was perfect. We went to the jewelry box, she picked out my best pearls, which she still has. But anyway, the point of that story is, what I love about young people is that ideas come to you more spontaneously. The older we get, honestly, we can get a little more jaded, a little more skeptical. We question things, maybe more than we should. And I think about Nora at 4 years old. She had a problem, she had a challenge, she had to fix it, she had to think outside the box. She had to come up with something very novel, something that wasn't obvious to her or us. Obviously it wasn't obvious to me, but it was just such a great, simple, eloquent solution to a problem. I look at all of you and I see such great creative minds, and I'm so looking forward to hearing the problems that you're looking at are the problems we need you to take on. You need to turn these problems into opportunities, into challenges, and we have total confidence that you all together can form teams to tackle those challenges that are on your tables tonight. I look forward to seeing you at our Idea Challenge, our Difference Maker competition, and to awarding some special groups in this room some great prizes to take your ideas to the next level. Thank you for being difference makers. Good luck with the challenge tonight. Look forward to hearing your ideas. Good luck.
Thank you, Jackie. So before we get started, I do want to introduce some people that are here tonight. And just to let you know, even though you have the ideas and the energy, and we're going to help you move forward, there are a lot of people here at this university who can help you with this. And what's I've learned, I've been here at the university for a while, but the last few years working with Difference Maker, if you have a good idea, if you have a good team, and you have the energy, we can find people and resources to help you move that forward. So I'm wondering, could the faculty fellows stand up for a minute? I know some of our faculty fellows are here tonight. So let's hear faculty fellows. Faculty fellows, Professor John Brown from the College of Education, Professor Deb Finch from the Manning School of Business, Professor John Morgan Bush from the College of Fine Arts, Humanities, and Social Science, and Professor Karan from School of Nursing, who is standing up already. These are folks who work, Professor Ashwin Mehta from the Manning School of Business, sorry Ashwin, it's because you were in India, I forgot, sorry. These are folks who work closely with our students and help them to move their ideas forward. And there's a few other folks in the audience. I know Associate Dean Deirdre Murphy from the College of Health Sciences here. Thank you very much. I know there are a couple of other faculty. Paul Germain from the Manning School of Business is here. And then Nancy Saucier. Nancy is the Director of New Venture Development, and she's been a real partner, working very closely with us over the last couple of years, helping us think through strategies for moving startups out of the university. And then I saw Professor Martin is here, Associate Dean from the College of Sciences.
Director of Student Success.
Sorry, those titles can change quickly. And then in the back, Professor Tom O'Donnell, Manning School of Business, and Professor Steve McCarthy from the College of Engineering. So thank you guys very much. So you can see that the faculty are here supporting you. As I look around the room, I also see Professor Michael Kucha, who we're trying to reel into Difference Makers from the Manning School of Business. So if I forgot you, it might be harder for me to do that. So Professor Kucha, who taught the first section of Principles of Innovation and Entrepreneurship. So we've got a great group of people here to help you move these projects forward. And then we also have some staff that have made this event possible. Any of you participate in the pitch contests last fall? You did? What team?
It was the Everybody's Everything project for the Creative Venture competition.
Excellent, very good. And another one I saw? Yes? College of Engineering, the solar car, right? So you are all back here for your next shot at the ring. Good, good to see. So there are some folks here that have worked very diligently at making these things possible. So Holly Butler over here and Ha Fo, who's in the back, these are our Difference Maker project directors, program managers, And they work in the DifferenceMaker Central space, which is right next to Starbucks. And Holly and Har are the people that we all go to when we need to get things done. So I'd like to thank them both for all their work in putting this together. And then we also have, you already met Zach. These are our enterprise co-ops. These are students like you who work at the university, who are actually working with us on DifferenceMaker activities. We have Talia next to Holly, and we have Hannah. Hannah is new. She's a freshman, and she's on board with DifferenceMaker. So welcome very much, and thank you. And then finally, I don't want to forget, is Jackie Buckley. Jackie Buckley's been busy ordering pizza and reserving rooms, which is all very important stuff. Thank you. So as you can see, there's a lot of people here at this university who are committed to DifferenceMaker. And so how many of you know what DifferenceMaker is already? Very good. So what is it? What do you think it is?
It's an organization encouraging students to make a difference.
That's safe. Very good. And Holly, we have prizes, right? Yeah, excellent. We always have prizes. So the idea about DifferenceMaker here, right, is that we want to engage you, our students, in creative problem solving, innovation, and entrepreneurship around problems that matter, things that you care about. And if you make the commitment to the program, and you can do it in many different ways, it may be by joining a team, it may be by helping or forming your own team, it may be by sharing advice with somebody, it may be by making a contact, we can help you move those ideas forward. We're really interested in solving problems that matter, and we know that there are a lot of them. As Vice Chancellor Maloney was saying, we've got working on the sustainable environment, we have issues of pollution, we have technology challenges, we have healthcare challenges. There are a lot of big problems in the world, and we really need your help to do this. And what's really wonderful is DifferenceMaker appeals to all different students. So we have health science students, we have engineering students, we have business students, we have art majors, we have a whole mix of students. And the way you come up with really good solutions to problems is by putting together a diverse team of students, students with different skills and different perspectives. And so that's part of what we will help you do. So tonight we're here to talk about the Idea Challenge. Last year we awarded $35,000 in prize funding to student teams just like you, who met in a different room but on campus last January, wondering what is this Idea Challenge thing about? And then over the course of the next couple of months, they put together their ideas and they pitched them. We actually had 70 teams apply last year, and out of those 70 teams, 40 teams pitched in the preliminaries, and then 12 teams pitched in the finals and received some funding to move their ventures forward. If you participate in the Idea Challenge, and the way you do it is you form a team or you join a team, you'll develop an idea plan, and you'll do some investigative work into the problem, examine the problem, look at the opportunity associated with that solving that problem, putting together a solution, and thinking through what are the resources you need to put that solution together. And we'll talk how to do that in more detail a little bit later. We have some workshops that'll help people do a good job in doing that research and putting together a good proposal. Ultimately, what you'll end up doing is pitching that to two sets of judges. The first are the preliminary judges, who will decide whether you go to the finals. And then the final judges will make decisions about how the prize money is awarded. And if you make it through that loop, what you'll get is you'll gain access to funding, so you'll receive some funding to move your venture forward. You'll be inducted into our Summer Solutions Accelerator, so we're going to put together a summer boot camp program that will help your teams move that idea forward. Just be clear, we don't give anybody a blank check. What we do is we sort of set that money in an account, and then we work with you to actually spend it on the things that will help you move your business forward. And so the concept of the Summer Accelerator is to give you a good foundation in what it means to take an electric car, or to take a solar panel project, or to take a trip to working with orphans in Rwanda. What are all the different things that you need to go through in order to put that idea in place and make a sustainable venture? So you'll have access to the accelerator, you'll get access to workspace in DifferenceMaker Central, which is, how many of you have been to Starbucks on North? A few. DifferenceMaker Central, right next to it, right there. We've got a great location. And then we'll also connect you with mentors and other resources. So it's not just about prize money. It's really about getting the resources, the knowledge resources, the equipment, the people that you need in order to implement the solution that you're proposing here. So what do some of the teams look like? I'm just checking my time here. That wasn't very discreet though. What do some of these teams look like? We have all different teams, right? We appeal, DifferenceMaker is meant to appeal to students from across the campus. So these are some teams that won the Idea Challenge last year. Up in the top corner is Savannah, the name of her company was Fresh Beats, and Savannah's proposal was to develop a food truck that will serve healthy food, but also have a music stage. And so she'll pull it into she's a music major, and so her idea was to develop a community music food truck that would move in. And Savannah, I believe, has won $4,000. She's using some of that money right now to learn more about the business models of food trucks, and then to put a plan together for launching a food truck business. On the other side, we have Healthy Habits. Healthy Habits are two nursing students who have actually graduated, and the only challenge with that team is they were so successful as nurses is that they were able to do some work, and then they had to pass the project on to other students, which is sometimes a challenge. We have BioBubbler down in the corner here. BioBubbler is a team of science and business students who actually just returned from 2 weeks in Haiti that was funded through their prize money to develop 5-gallon water purifying systems from simple products. And so they had been to Haiti once, they pitched the idea, they developed, they received some additional funding, and now they were overseeing the implementation of these water bubblers in homes in Haiti. And then we also have Autonomous Technology, which is a pair of engineering students who are developing a new way of actuating lifters in automobiles to make them more energy efficient. So we have sort of a range of projects, right? Technology-based, more socially oriented, health-oriented. But these are all projects that made it successfully through the DifferenceMaker Idea Challenge. Now tonight we actually have two teams. So in the Idea Challenge we have the top prize is campus-wide DifferenceMaker, and then we have different categories of prizes. And so tonight we have the 2013 and the 2014 teams here. Non-spec, Jonathan and Erin are here. They actually just returned from a 2-week trip to India where they were installing their adjustable, extendable prosthetic device. Or they weren't installing it, they were doing a usability study on the use of the device in India. And then Teresa Scholl is also here from SOS Support Our Students. So I'm going to ask you all to come on up on stage. And I believe, Holly, you have some questions for these folks? Excellent.
Hello everyone, welcome. Thank you for coming out tonight. I have some questions, interview questions for our two DifferenceMaker, campus-wide DifferenceMaker teams. Erin Keeney from 2013 and then Teresa Schroll from 2014. So we'll start with Erin. If you wouldn't mind stating your year in school when you started your project and then what your major was.
When I started with non-spec, I was a senior in plastics engineering, and I think it was the end of the first semester is when I started getting into it. And since, I've gotten my master's in plastics, and I'm in the PhD program now.
Excellent. So I know Professor Tello mentioned a little bit about what non-spec is, but could you just elaborate on that?
Sure.
What your project is?
So we make low-cost, durable prosthetics for developing nations. What's novel about our device is that it's made out of entirely plastic. It's designed to be mass-producible so that it meets a $20 cost from shoulder to fingertip or hip to toe. And the same device can fit an 8-year-old and an 18-year-old with simple adjustment so that a doctor doesn't have to have a lot of training in order to fit the patients depending on the region they're in.
That's amazing stuff. So, since winning in 2013, how much money have you raised since then?
About $120,000 in a year.
So if you wouldn't mind just elaborating on that and discussing how you won that money and how you raised that money.
Sure. So right after DifferenceMaker, we had money all of a sudden, and we never expected that. So we got $5,000 from the first year. and DifferenceMaker kept dragging us out and introducing us to people. And we started networking throughout Lowell, and it grew from there. And we started finding about all these competitions, business model competitions, and engineering competitions. And we started to see how we fit in those. And our goal this whole time was to make sure that we had a viable product that people could use and it would improve their lives. So we decided to kind of strategically apply to different competitions where we would get validation in different segments of our business, and get the money that we needed to continue research and development to get this to the people who need it.
That's great. So how have you used your funding? Professor Keller mentioned you just got back from India. Maybe you can expand a bit on that, because that's a lot of money. So how did you go about using it?
First, we used it for prototyping the most. We actually had to get some machines so that we wouldn't have to do everything meticulously by hand. We have a lot of resources on campus that we were able to start playing around and seeing what kinds of machines we needed, and really seeing if we had the right materials. And then we had to buy a lot of plastic that we could mill. I actually have a mill and a lathe in my apartment. They're little tiny ones and they're cute, but they do what we need them to do. And then the biggest other thing that we spent our money on was our trip to India, where we actually were able to fit our device to patients and make sure that it did what it was supposed to do. And that was amazing. And from the feedback we got with that, we're continuing to use our money to buy prototypes, continuously prototype, and mail, which I gotta figure out how much that costs still. Our devices to India, where our new satellite team of students from BVB over there, which is who we were working with, can go back into the clinic and use our device to fit more patients.
Great. And we're going to have a question and answer session after too. So hold your questions for after, but that's really cool. So what primary resources would you say that DifferenceMaker has helped you with thus far?
Networking and space. So after the DifferenceMaker program, they opened up the competition, they opened up DifferenceMaker Central, and ever since then, I feel like I've been in there every day. It's kind of our office, and we're there meeting with people, working with other DifferenceMaker teams, talking about the struggles that we've been going through, and really getting to know a lot of the faculty members who are so wonderful in helping us get to where we need to go.
So lastly, what advice would you have for these students?
Follow your ideas. I think following through is really the biggest thing I can say. A lot of people will tell you no, and don't listen to them. I mean, you have to think logically about what you're doing, but if you're holding your ideas inside of you, then they're not going to go anywhere. You need to talk with other people about them so that they can grow. And don't be afraid to talk to other people. Make friends. DifferenceMaker is the perfect place to do that. When we went through every workshop when we went through the program, so we learned what the judges wanted to hear, where we had holes in our idea. Great place to meet new team members. Just really go for it.
All right, thank you, Erin. So now, Teresa, our 2014 campus-wide DifferenceMaker. If you wouldn't mind just stating your year in school and the major that, well, the year in school you were and the major when you applied for DifferenceMaker.
So I was a first-year graduate student. Can you guys hear me? Okay. First-year graduate student, second semester, in the Community Social Psychology program, master's program.
All right, and if you wouldn't mind just elaborating on what SOS is.
Sure. So Support Our Students is a nonprofit organization that strives to feed students who are going hungry on the UMass Lowell campus. It's a little known fact that food insecurity is actually quite popular, or unfortunately quite popular on campuses. And we did a survey on campus and assessed that about 24% of the participants who answered our survey were food insecure. And so what we did is we worked with different organizations on campus, including dining services, and developed a program that's modeled after the National School Lunch Program, where we put meals on student ID cards so that they could swipe on swipe into the dining halls. One good feature about this is the meals can be donated by other students. So if you have a meal plan, one of like the silver, gold, or platinum, you get guest meals. Those guest meals can be donated to our program and then given to a student in need. In addition to that, we like to focus on nutrition and health. So we'll have activities on campus, cooking demonstrations, film screenings, nutrition trivia. So keep an eye out for those.
Thank you. So how would you say the Difference Maker has helped you get to where you are today?
Well, we wouldn't be here without Difference Makers. You know, it was a psychology professor who had this idea to, you know, help people in our own community to eat. And what Difference Makers did is it helped us develop the idea, help us shift to a model that would actually work on this campus, give us advice, give us guidance, make sure that we were on the right track. And like what Erin said, look at our business model and go, nope, that's not going to work. Wait, you need to look at this. You know, guide us, because we're a bunch of psychology randoms. What do we know about business? So it was a nice add-on to the education that I was getting through my own program.
So I know that while you were pursuing SOS, you also worked. So maybe just telling students a little bit about how you juggled school and work at the same time.
It's not easy. You know, you're going to go into this and you're going to have your classes, you're going to have your jobs, you're going to have your social life, and then you've got this project where they want you to go to workshops and you have to have meetings and you have to talk to people. But you can do it. You can sleep later. You love what you're doing, that's why you're here. You have a good idea. That passion, that drive, that belief in yourself is going to get you through those long hours when you're a little bit sleep deprived. And it is worth it, hands down.
Great. And are you seeking any additional team members at this point in time? And if so, which skills are you looking for?
We're always looking for people. This is a campus program. It's not exclusive, hopefully, to UMass Lowell, but we always need volunteers. So we need people who are good at event planning, marketing, social media, and finance. As much as I love money, it's not fun to keep track of.
And lastly, do you have any advice for these students? And if so, what would it be?
Well, you're going to get great advice from the workshops. You really are. Please go to every single one of them. They are worth your time. But one piece of advice that we took to heart, and I think is the reason why we won campus-wide Difference Makers, is because we talked to everybody who would give us 5 minutes of their time. It was one meeting after another, and people were so generous with their time. If you ask, they will be more than happy to sit down with you. And when you have that meeting with them, listen to what they say, and when they tell you to go talk to somebody, make a meeting with that person. The more people you talk to, the better your idea becomes. These people have great skills, talent, and knowledge. Take advantage of it.
Excellent. Thanks, Teresa. All right, now we're going to open up to the audience for about 5 minutes of some Q&A. So if you have a question, just raise your hand. And Talia, anyone have any questions? You get a prize if you ask a question.
I'm wondering how your idea development process went along from the time you then said, I'm gonna do this, to the time in which you had to submit an idea to DifferenceMaker. When you first got into the kickoff meeting, did you guys have any idea where you were heading, or did it start from there? Moving forward.
We didn't know what we were doing when we first went. Honestly, the first Difference Maker meeting we went to was because there was free pizza, and it sounded like a cool thing. So my team went in, and there was a big brainstorming session, and there were just so many ideas floating around from all different areas. It was really cool. So we decided to go back, and my project actually came from a capstone. So the mechanical engineers that I work with were working on a motorized hand, and all metal. It was really cool, but they did it for only $75, which was pretty good considering it was mind controlled. And so from there, we just were like, okay, can we take this and make it useful and keep the low cost factor? And it started growing into an arm, and now we're into legs. So it grows fast and it's quick, and you can pivot a lot. We have a ton of ideas, and everyone said focus. Tom, focus. So you have to look at everything and really follow where the market drives you, and that's kind of what DifferenceMaker teaches you how to analyze. So you don't have to know where you're going, and you probably won't know where you're going, and I still am surprised at where I'm at today, but I also don't know entirely my next step, but I know that I know people who will help me get to the people who know what that step is.
So where we started from this meeting last year and where we are now is completely different. We knew we wanted to help people. We knew we wanted to help people in Lowell, but after, I think it was our first meeting, was with the Merrimack Valley Food Bank. She gave us advice that was invaluable and said, hey, you want to help people, look at your campus first. And from there, it was really evolved into an entirely different program. Deb Finch was critical in how it developed, and she was part of the reason why we came up with the model that we did. So it's going to shift, and it's so, I have to say that when you talk to that person and they say, have you thought of doing it like this, and it's way out of left field, your first reaction is, well, no, my idea is great. Listen to that person. It's hard to, but they're going to help you.
All right, any other questions? We'll take a couple more.
I need more than 5 minutes.
I know.
So, Erin, while launching your project in India, what was your scariest but most defining moment? I know you know what I'm talking about, because I was there. And then, also for you, what was your most defining moment while launching as us?
So our scariest and most defining moment in India was when we had our limb put together on a socket that the doctor had made the way that he thought was best. And we had it on the patient, and he stood up, and he took a step, and he took another step, and then the socket collapsed, and we thought it was our device. And I can't even describe what that felt like. It was terrifying. The patient was fine. Our device actually caught him, which was an impact we weren't ever expecting to test on a person. And he had a chair right behind him, and he was able to sit down. And he was a little shaken about it, but when we analyzed it, our device did what it was supposed to do. It took the weight of the person, even in an impact situation. And that, to me, was a proud moment for plastics when in my head it said, yes, this is the right material for what we're doing. And so now we're moving on with our device in relatively the same format we expected, and that was amazing.
My defining moment was meeting with the first student that we helped. And I get that feeling every time I meet a student. It really is just, and I'll probably tear up, but it's one of those things where they just look at you and you say, yes, we're going to help, and a weight gets lifted. You know that you're doing what you should be doing. It was worth all the stress.
All right, I know that there's a lot of questions over there.
I would like to ask the both of you that what was the one thing that kept you driving? What was your ultimate objective behind these projects?
To help people.
Yeah, it's to help people. The more I learned about the problem that we're trying to solve, and don't be afraid to read research articles, talk to people. Some of that can be a little scary because, oh God, I didn't think of that, or oh, I need to incorporate that. It can be a little overwhelming. But the more I learned about what happens when you go hungry when you're in school, and the negative side effects, and the fact that you could go to school for 2 years, have $40,000 in debt, and not have a degree. That pushes you. You've got to fix that problem.
In the case of prosthetics, what was interesting is that we were always saying, okay, we'll focus on developing nations because we have a low-cost option, and that's where it can help the most. But I've had so many conversations with people in the US whose relatives are amputees, and they can't afford the same quality that they should be able to even here. And so now we're looking at all of the possible markets we have and realizing that worldwide there are people we can help. And every day when it's stressful and just almost too much is really the fact that in the end this can help someone is what drives us.
All right, time for one more question.
What would you say was the hardest thing to overcome throughout the whole process?
There's going to be a point when you think, this isn't going to work. Not because any one person tells you, but just, you've got so many other pressures in your life. I think that's the hardest part. And at that point, you just need to take a break and you need to reset. And one thing that I found that was most helpful is to talk to other entrepreneurs. Erin and I live in the DifferenceMaker's office, and you've got your mentors, and Steve is amazing. And that's just talk to them because they know what that's like, and we know how to get through it.
I think in non-spec's case, the team was one of our biggest problems. And it's hard.
How big was your team originally?
We had, in total, I think 8 people at one point. We had about 6 of us go through the DifferenceMaker program. There are 3 of us left. It's difficult to go through transition periods. Graduation is a big one. And even just getting into, even if you're sophomores going into junior year, typically that's really difficult for people. School-wise, you have a ton on your plate. And it's hard to be working with your friends and realizing that some of you are making the time to do it and some aren't. And it's hard to let your friends go in those situations. But keeping those lines separate is important to not ruin friendships. And if anyone has any team issues and wants to talk about them, drop by DifferenceMaker.
She makes a very good point, and we've experienced the same thing. Just separate your friends from the project. Not literally, but mentally.
All right, let's thank both. And like they had mentioned, they're in DifferenceMaker Central almost every day between 9 and 5. The doors are unlocked. So those of you who didn't have a chance to answer your questions, come stop by, and myself, our co-ops, or Teresa or Aaron would be happy to answer any questions that you have.
I'll take that. Thanks very much. That was great. And just think about it. Over the last 2.5 years, we've worked with somewhere in the vicinity of 60 different teams. And through the Idea Challenge, we've awarded about the Idea Challenge Convocation and a few other events, we've awarded about $66,000 in prize funding to student teams. So there's been a lot going on. Now, we want to get you all talking. And before we do that, I just want to go over it. Now, we have these postcards, and I hope, if you haven't got one, hot off the press, they just arrived today, I think. And on the back, they have this whole schedule of events, so you don't have to memorize this. The Idea Challenge has already kicked off. The first phase is to file an application. It's all done online. Just go to uml.edu/DifferenceMaker. Look at the Idea Challenge link, and you'll see where to apply. If you're confused by that at all, just stop, go get a coffee at Starbucks, and then go visit Holly and Hart, and they'll help you do it right there. The application process is relatively simple. So a few basic questions that we'll use to get it rolling. If you don't have your team filled out at that point, don't worry. If you need help finding team members, stop in and see Holly and Howard. They'll help you with that. Poor Haas over there thinking, oh, you've a little more work, thank you. But they really do love doing this. And then between February and March, we're going to do a series of workshops. And these are the workshops that Erin and Teresa were referencing. And the idea of these workshops is to get you prepared, both to develop your idea, to get you prepared to pitch your idea. Because think about it, you're going to be pitching this in front of very successful university alumni. We've invited, this program, the award money that we give out, is all donated by alumni. It's all, they care about this, they think this is important. They've put up the $66,000. In fact, my job is to raise $50,000 this semester for the event in April. And so these are folks like you who sat in this room or another room just like it a few years ago, who've done well in their careers and now they're giving back. But they can be tough. So we put together this series of workshops to help prep you for them. And the first one we'll talk about identifying problems and the value proposition. And what we'll do is the actual form that the way you'll pitch this idea, you'll talk about the problem you're passionate about, you'll share why it's a problem, who's affected by the problem, you'll talk about how other people may have tried to address that problem, you'll talk about the opportunity, the second workshop associated with solving that problem, how many people are affected, how are they addressing it right now, what are the costs involved. Then you'll develop your solution, we'll help you think through what a good solution is. And then finally, we talk about resources. Resources are towards the end of it. We'll talk about developing a business model. We worry about some of the financial pieces about halfway through. First, we want you to learn more about the problem and why it's important to solve and who's affected by it. So the workshops will help prepare you for that. And we also have a rocket pitch, which is basically a way of pitching your idea to the judges. Then early March, your idea plan is due. And the idea plan and your presentation, so it's not too far away, honestly, right? We're talking a little over a month. The idea plan, I think, is 2 pages, and the rocket pitch is probably about 5 or 6 slides. And this is the first version. That will be reviewed. And depending on the number of applications, we will be reviewing that. We'll have a team of people reviewing these applications, and we'll make a decision about who's going to get invited to pitch in the preliminaries. And so we have to narrow it down to about 30 teams that will get into the preliminaries, more or less. We'll give people feedback. You'll have time to revise that idea plan, and then the preliminary pitch-off will be April 3rd. We're anticipating about 30 to 40 teams. We'll narrow that down to 10 teams, and then the finals will be on April 15th, and that's when the awards will happen. So this was all laid out for those of you with good eyesight. It'll be easy for you to read this. But these postcards are handy, and all this information is online. So, I want to give you all a chance to talk now. You'll notice we put some tabletops on your tables. These were ideas that students had put forward, those of you that had pre-registered, and we tried to kind of group them. And so hopefully you're sitting with people at a table that has an idea, and I know some of you probably came in late and you don't necessarily have an idea, but we're going to give you a chance to start talking about this. And so what we have, let's see, sustainable environment here. So are you the AST sisters? A shout out, thank you. My daughter mentioned you're coming. Thanks for coming. We have social impact over there. I think Professor John Morgan Bush is there. We have Professor John Brown here. We have a table on looking at software and apps, and Professor Mike Puccia is there. We have Professor Germain and Professor Finch, and if I stretch my eyes, other. What is other? Okay, all right, great, other. Professor Metter, I see revolution of consciousness in electric cars, solar cars, right? And then, what's that?
They already had sustainable development.
That's right. You can do it over there as well. Let's see, we have new technology up front here, access to healthcare over at this table, and do you all have a theme, or are you, you're going to make it up? You're going to fill that in? Good. Now, we're not going to be really strict about this, right? The idea, there are 2 key things in DifferenceMaker, right? One is to solve a problem that matters, the other is to have fun. And I'm always reminding, particularly my faculty friends, sometimes they get a little strict about the business models and this and that. I say, no, we have to have fun. So I want you to have a little fun with this. But what we want you to do, if you want to change tables, first of all, if you saw another flyer, you want to go sit at those folks, feel free to do that. If you're sitting through this exercise at a table and you're not having fun and you want to go to a different table, feel free to do that. Basically what we want you to do, and there should be a handout, and Holly, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've got 4 questions. We want you to start brainstorming the problem you want to solve. And you don't all have to agree on the same problem, but what you should probably do is say, well, this is why I'm here. And then you can say, this is why I'm here. And then you might say, well, this is why I'm here. You might have 3 different problems, or you maybe have 2, or maybe you have 1 that's similar. And you're going to have a conversation about why you're here and what the problem is that interests you. And we're going to let you do that probably for about 5 minutes or so. And then we'll remind you, start thinking about, out of those problems, who is affected by the problem. Right? So it might be a patient, it might be a country, it might be a customer. Depending on the problems, you're all interested in different problems, it'll vary. Then, do you have an idea for a solution? I know some, how many of you have come here with a solution you want to put forward on the table? I'm guessing, yeah, get the hands up. That's okay. Put those solutions out there. Like you heard, those solutions might change over time, that's okay. But we have to start somewhere. And then what resources do you think you need? So, I'm not going to talk anymore. You've got faculty, we'll have faculty and staff that'll work. Holly, I think it might be easier if we pass those out rather than have everyone get up. So we have some big poster paper and there are markers. So they start right now on this first question and we'll bug you in about 5 minutes or so. Okay, now let me ask you, are you all ready to share some of the problems that you've been working on here at your tables? Because I know it's coming up on 7:30, and so we only have a few more minutes, and I think it might be helpful for other people to hear what you all have been talking about.
I can talk about it.
So we'll take maybe the last 5-10 minutes here, and give you a chance to say, these were the problems that this table's interested in. And I think I hear Professor Brown saying he'd be willing to kick it off.
Oh yeah, do you want me to try? I was trying to keep it one of them.
Will one of them do it? Okay.
Matthew's going to talk about this.
All right. Great. Your name is Matthew. All right, Matt. So if we could all get your attention for a minute, we're going to do this. Matthew, why don't you stand up? We'll get you a microphone here.
I'll hold this.
Hello. All right. He's up on the stage. So this is Matthew, everybody. He's going to share the problems that they were working on.
So at our table, we were talking about sustainable environment, and so we all had a plethora of ideas, and we all managed to combine it all into one. Built mostly on the idea of people who are in disaster-prone areas, so that could be natural disasters, it could be war zones, to build collapsible houses made of plastic, and also containing solar panels that it has its own energy. Of course, it needs to be safe, so we would need to figure out how to make sure that these structures are sound, that they're not going to just collapse on top of the people who are in them. But this would solve a problem for all people if you think of areas that are prone to tornadoes or prone to tsunamis, or in the Middle East, in war zones. So these were just some of our ideas that we were able to combine together.
All right. Thank you,
Matthew.
Nancy, I'm guessing we might have somebody at your table that would like to share. Core? Come on up. For those of you who don't know, Nancy Saucia has been working with our faculty. We're working with students, and Nancy's been working with faculty. And she successfully helped develop 5 different National Science Foundation I-Corps proposals. So kudos, Nancy.
So our group didn't necessarily come up with a single concrete problem, but one thing we discussed was making STEM education, and more specifically programming education, more available to more kids in more schools at an earlier age. In our opinion, programming knowledge and that sort of education helps more with design in other fields. Programming knowledge is becoming more needed in in general, programming is becoming a wider field, and we need more people to understand how to read it and how to write it.
Sounds good, and I'm sure Professor Martin would be happy to help you
come
with
talk
that.
to me.
So, very good. Thanks, Troy. You guys have a spokesperson? Come on up. Oh, actually, you want to do it from there? There you go.
All right, so our problem was traffic problems in Lowell.
This traffic in Lowell tomorrow.
Kidding, there's no traffic in Lowell. So there was, the traffic problem was congestion in the urban setting. So we found out that the people who are impacted by this are emergency personnel, delivery drivers, and students. And the negative impacts that we have is wastage of fuel, time, increased emissions, stress, and accidents. So the possible solutions that we came up with were dynamic traffic controls, so like having good light systems. Additionally, public transportation, good public transportation, separate lanes. These were like a possible solutions. What most of us voted for was student carpooling during emergency situations, and also traveling between campuses. And the last one was advanced automotive sensing control, kind of making a cheaper version so that we can use it in many cars that are very cheap. Or so if you have like a Honda or like Corolla, we can get that cheaply rather than buying a BMW. So
How much you want? How much do you have?
How much do I have?
2006 Civic.
Phil is a development fundraiser, so you should know that. Thank you, Yash. We appreciate that. Okay, let's see. Access to health care. Would one of you care to share here? Why don't you stand up so folks can...
All right, so we got through the problems part, because there's a lot of them. And so, but primarily we wanted to focus on two things. We identified lack of information when it comes to healthcare. So as you're becoming an independent adult, going into the world out there, and you have no idea how insurance works. And most adults don't have any idea how insurance works. So is there a way we can organize and quantify information and make it accessible to everybody so that they can understand what they're looking for, what they need on their healthcare, and stuff like that. And then the other one is, as there is a growing trend of aging demographics, is there a way we can promote a healthy lifestyle so that we can prevent disease or prevent chronic illness or prevent injury from happening that will put a damper on someone having a healthy lifestyle?
And you came up with a solution as well?
No, just
Not
a
yet.
problem.
Okay, you're going to work on it?
Yeah.
All right, good job.
It's 90% a problem.
That's right. Thank you. Software apps. Professor Kuchak.
We have two, actually, problems and solutions.
So our first one is keeping health and activity fun. During the winter, you find yourself snowed in, you might not be able to get to a gym or anything too easily, so what we have now are video game consoles. They're great for helping your mind, doing quick problem solving. It's all about split decision making. However, you don't use the entirety of your body. We want to use the Kinect motion sensor, which originally had problems such as latency issues. Some games wouldn't feel right, they wouldn't feel natural or smooth. So we decided a type of game that would be able to not really take advantage of it, but work with those limitations and use those limitations to our advantage for the technology. And it's all about making your actions visible as well. So even if you don't have a game that's playing, you can still have your TV on maybe, and as you move around listening to music, as you walk past the TV, you'll see a bit of visualization, some sort of ripple effects, and as you do more active movements, the visuals change, giving you incentive to, you know, get up and get active. So I'll pass on the mic to first.
Well, to discuss our problem is basically that college textbooks are kind of like overpriced and kind of inflated, and a lot of people actually don't get the value out of the textbooks that they essentially want. So the demographics are, you know, young college students, and our solution to the problem would be like we're thinking of creating a website called Text Trade, and essentially what we do is we kind of it's like a listing site, and essentially we assess the value of maybe like your books. So essentially, for example, if you have a book that's maybe worth like $150, you can go on to Text Trade and trade it in for another $150 book, maybe that you need for another class, or maybe 2 books that are worth $75. And so we have the system where basically what we want to do, or we want to help people with, is essentially that maybe they buy for their first class a really pricey textbook, but what they can do is throughout their whole, they can just keep trading essentially their books, and they don't have to like keep buying books. So maybe they buy books for 1 semester, and then they just keep trading and repeating this until basically they're not actually paying for the books for their other semesters. They're just trading with them.
Excellent.
Great idea.
Thanks. So your audience, you guys are great. You're being very patient. We just have 3 more tables here. So we'll just pass it to Professor Ben's table, and we'll work our way across. Thank you.
Hello. So we have a project that's actually been rolling for a little bit, and we've just been talking about some ideas and how we can change it a little and progress it. And basically the problem we want to address is that in a lot of urban environments where there's a really big population density, travel pollutes a lot. So if any of you have driven in New York City, cars are always moving very slowly, and when a car moves slowly, it produces about 3 times as much CO2 per mile as a fast-moving car. Couple that with the fact that there's a lot of cars, and you have a lot of pollution issues in the city. So the way we want to address this is actually more for cities outside of the US. We want to make a solar electric car, which has a pretty small top speed. It's not meant for highway travel, it's meant for getting around town. And because of that low top speed and the low power of the car, it doesn't use nearly as much energy as traditional electric cars, making it actually feasible to charge from solar energy. We're currently working on a prototype, but we definitely need to think more about marketing, like how we're going to target, what audience we're going to target, where could we possibly sell this, what steps we need to take to make this a real product, and yeah.
So you're looking for a business major to help?
We're looking for a business major.
Business majors, there you go.
Professor Tom O'Donnell, looking for some students.
All right, great, thanks.
Steve, we actually had three problems that we addressed back here, so we'll try to hit the high points, and I'll hand it over to our 3 presenters.
Hey guys doing? So we're actually currently working on a project as well. It's along the Merrimack River, along the VFW highways. One of the parts actually of the map earlier, but there's no path that currently connects from University Ave Bridge all the way along the VFW to Beaverbrook. So we want to build a path and build a bridge so it completes the loop around campus and the community, so students can, walk around, they don't have to stop, turn around, go back. Community can, take advantage of it as well, promote healthy living, and also it's a great area for, you have a historical view of downtown, you have a view of the Mile Mills, Lasher Park, so we kind of want to open it up to the community and the students so they can take advantage of what is here, what we can offer. So our proposal actually is to build a path, build a bridge, as well as an observation deck where, the students can go down and have lunch, relax, play checkers, play chess, whatever you want to do, take advantage of the view, relax. And, we really are looking for, members to join up, help us out. We've, great ideas such as, working with the Solar Club to incorporate solar lighting on the path. So we have different problems like that to solve. We're looking for, people to help out with ideas to solve the issues so we can actually build this and go forward.
Excellent.
Carlos, we have two more, Steve.
Hello. So my idea is similar to his. It's what I call a textbook lending library, and the idea is for every course to either donate a book to the library where students can borrow for 3 hours at a time, or for every program to provide a textbook for each course. Where, if you don't have the textbook for the course, you can borrow it for 3 hours, do your homework. If no one else needs it, you can borrow for another 3 hours. And again, the problem is the prices of textbooks. They're outrageous. Yes, it's a short-term lending library. I think pretty self. And what we need is the books and the funding.
Thank you, Carlos.
One more, right?
Yep, one more.
Hello, everyone.
Prolific table.
Well, as we all know, all the cars that we drive nowadays, they're not efficient, whether you're driving hybrid or electric. So I have an idea of that, creating energy or somewhat like getting energy from the wheels, because cars do have wheels, and we can get from those wheels, there's rotational energy, and you can get energy from that. So my idea is to come up with like some sort of generator that's gonna take, that's gonna get energy from the wheels and into something like a capacitor or a battery, and that way we can make cars that we're driving nowadays more efficient. For the resources, I just need people with the knowledge of like electricity. They work with capacitors, generators, and a lot of information about, information yes on electricity, and people who have business backgrounds.
All right. Thanks very much. Right over here to Professor Finch. Last but not least.
Hello everyone, my name is Abdullah Shirazi, and I am an international student. It has been 1 year that I'm here. A great mind once said that the measure of who we are is what we do with what we have. The biggest problem from where I come is the lack of education. It is the thing that is holding us back and has made the extremist groups come for us. Recently, in an attack on 16th December 2015, 132 young children were attacked by those culprits. And because of that, there has been a fear in the youngers to go into school and pursue education. My idea is that I want to help with my resources at this university to come up with courses or a platform to educate the people who share the feeling of agony and want to educate and don't want to stop prospering. So what I will do is, what we have taught is like educate people, my fellow students who have not the privilege to come back, to come to the US like I have. But they're educated and they want to help the society. So we will educate them, who will further educate the youngers, the children who are not educated. And basically I want to raise awareness among them. And for that I would want to raise funds and raise awareness. That's it.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Great causes, great ideas, important problems to solve. So you all got a sense of what DifferenceMaker is about, right? How many of you are still thinking about the idea challenge? Come on. Scare me a little bit here. Okay. All right. So any closing questions? Do you all have any questions? We've been flashing the workshop schedule up and the due dates. All this material is up on the website. Professor Brown.
I have a question. Should people who think they have ideas, who think they might work well together, exchange some contact information? So, yes? Yes. So that way they can put together an application. Now, if if you think you might want to work with some of the people you've been talking to tonight, just go ahead and do it. You can always withdraw from the group, but you don't want to be at that point where, like, I'm putting together my application, and I met somebody tonight, and I can't remember who they were, and I don't know how to contact them. So if you're interested in working with the people that you've met tonight, exchange some contact information with them, just an email address and a name.
Is he a plant in the audience? Great idea, yes, he is. But you don't even have to prime him, he gets it, so thank you. And we have some of these postcards, right, so that it has all the information on it, we make it nice and simple. So at this point, we just want to thank you all, you did a great job. And I have to say, I want to congratulate you. I think this is the first event where all the pizza was eaten. So thank you very much. And we hope to see you all in the Idea Challenge. Remember, Holly and Hara are here to help you. We want to see you at the Difference Maker Challenge. We want to see you at the workshops. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.